Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a video about my opinion on the Tracer controversy. After all, I play a heck of a lot of Overwatch. It's a first-person shooter, so it fits on the channel, and it's even one of the games I chose to place in a banner on my YouTube channel. Nonetheless, Tracer is the mascot character. It's a great game that I feel is going to shape both casual and competitive first-person shooters for years and years and years and years. It's going to change everything. So my first concern about the Tracer controversy is that people are a little too fast to claim that Blizzard is jumping on some kind of ideological bandwagon. This ideological bandwagon appears to be a part of a backlash towards aspects of third wave feminism. So with that said, we know what third wave feminism is. We know it's real, we know what its core tenets are. So when I hear people are so quick to claim that Blizzard or any specific game company is jumping on said bandwagon, it causes a few problems. The first on this list is that false accusations and misinformation can have a strong tendency to bolster the strength of X ideology. People will look at those making these bold claims, fact check them, then realize a good portion of these people are either fitting the bill of being sexist or homophobic, or that there are a large number of people who just hate feminism because it's bad. If you don't like something, but you can't really state why, that's not really going to solve very much. Coming into a situation with guns blazing with no solid argument just emboldens those you criticize. This is precisely how feminists lost Gamergate. You are not immune to the same results. No matter who you are, no matter what ideology, you come into a situation guns blazing with nothing to back it up, you're going to lose the argument. This is not the first time Tracer has been involved in some kind of controversy. But if you look at the first instance this happened, you will see the same patterns, wild accusations with very little objective discussion. The first controversy is talking about the whole Tracer butt censorship pose situation. Tracer's butt has not been censored, nor was the new pose even remotely an act of censorship or even a downgrade. The new pose was a massive upgrade. At the time, I remember a lot of bigger YouTubers claiming that it was extremely unlikely that they would even have an extra pose to use, like Blizzard was somehow backstepping on a decision that they had already made. Obviously, they clearly made this pose just for this situation, so that they can hide under a rock. Jesus. Let's backstep for a second. If you take a look at this through the lens of Occam's razor, you would notice that Blizzard has some of the most prolific artists in the game industry at their disposal. I can tell you from personal experience that it's common as hell to have extra content all the time. I will go an extra step on this and say that Blizzard has a metric shitload of stuff that we've never seen publicly. I can say this because it's almost always like this in every game company ever. Artists tend to be more critical of their own work than anyone else. It's completely likely that the improved pose was just sitting there and they just needed an excuse to put it in the game. And again, Tracer's butt is still just as visible as it has always been. It has never actually been censored. So that entire situation was wild accusations of social justice warriors meddling with gaming, knee-jerk reactions. Nothing actually came of it other than a chance for some ideologues to point and say, see, I told you so, look how sexist they are. Meh. Let's skip ahead. Current controversy. Again, accusations that Blizzard is caving to the SJWs. In a recent Overwatch comic, we learned that Tracer has a girlfriend. This caused a lot of really comedic reactions. So is this just repeating all of the same patterns all over again? We can start by taking a look at what specific tenet of third wave feminism is at play here. When I try to figure out exactly what aspect is at play, it kind of shows things in a clearer light. My thinking is that this would be about the tendency towards cultural Marxism that is prevalent in third wave feminism. This is the part of the ideology that espouses diversity even at the cost of other things. Cultural Marxism is an extremely weak stance for a number of reasons, mainly that it attempts to solve bigotry by placing a spotlight and a magnifying glass on race and gender. It's completely pointless in practice. But there are some issues with this stance being applied here and now in this particular situation. For one, we don't know for sure if this is even really cultural Marxism at play. At least there is nothing solid to really base this argument over. If you take a look at most games with a large number of character rosters, there has always been a tendency for a small number of characters with non-cis identities. Fighting games are a good example of this. I'm going to say that having lots of characters in a game will have a natural tendency towards at least a handful of them to be gay or trans or at least gender fluid, feminine men, masculine women, you name it, it's all pretty much there. If your goal is to create lots of original characters, it would actually take more effort to not have a gay or a trans character than it would to simply have a gay or trans character every once in a while. Is it the same thing to criticize cultural Marxism in real life situations versus cultural Marxism in entertainment? I am going to say right now, real life versus fantasy are completely different situations. Taking this cultural Marxist stance towards characters in a game is nowhere near the same thing as applying it to who NASA can hire. In the case of entertainment, the more, the merrier. In this case, the gayer, because merry and gay are both mean happy. Also, I bet my bad joke per video quota. But with that said, I seriously think that these are completely different situations, especially in the context of a game that attempts to have a person from every country in the world. So in this case, we learn that through the lens of Overwatch that the British are all gay. Take that, Total Biscuit. And time travelers. Huh. Maybe I just figured out why this is controversial after all. I mean, the British all being gay time travelers isn't necessarily something new. I mean, Doctor Who should have set off my gaydar ages ago. It probably did, I just didn't care. But all joking aside, in the world of fantasy, it can be better to have variety anyway. It's better to mix things up, especially in a medium based around massive numbers of characters. Even if this was a case of cultural Marxism, I can't say that it should have even remotely the same reaction. It simply is not the same when applying this idea to the real world, with real world consequences. The backlash is misplaced here. If you intend to hold such a hard stance against Tracer, then you might want to take a look at all games with large numbers of characters. Um, did anyone notice that Bastion is a robot? They fucking revealed it in the animated short. What does this mean for transhumanism?